All right, we'll get started here in just a few seconds. We'll let the waiting room clear out. All right. Well, welcome to the Circular Bioeconomy Systems Institute Member Hour Series. I am Alicia Modenbach, your host for today's session. We're opening this Member Hour Series with an insightful webinar presented by Dr. John Reid, Interim Chair of CBSI, and Dr. Brahm Verma, Chair of the CBSI Bylaws Task Force. The Circular Bioeconomy Systems Institute, or CBSI, aims to transform the traditional take, make, use, dispose linear economy system into a more sustainable, circular bioeconomy system that regenerates natural resources, reduces waste, and minimizes environmental impact. During this webinar, the speakers will explore CBSI's structure, key functions, and strategic direction for the future. They will also discuss how CBSI fosters collaboration and innovation across various disciplines and stakeholders, emphasizing the Institute's openness to both ASAB members and non-members. So this is an excellent opportunity to learn how you can contribute to the collective work of transitioning to a circular bioeconomy by participating in CBSI. Before we kick things off today, let's quickly go over some ground rules for this session. Please keep your audio muted during the presentation. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. We'll also open up for verbal questions during the Q&A segment later in this session. And this meeting is being recorded and will be available for later viewing on the ASABE website. Now, without further ado, let's go ahead and introduce our speakers, Dr. John Reid and Dr. Brahm Verma. John Reid is Executive Director of the Center for Digital Agriculture at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. His faculty role is Research Professor in Computer Science and Ag and Bioengineering, Electrical and Computer Engineering, with research on embodied intelligence of off-road machine systems. He has more than 35 years of experience with roles in both industry and academia. In 2019, Reid was elected to the National Academy for Engineering for contributions to automation in agriculture. And John Reid is also the interim chair of CBSI and the chair of the CIGR working group on CBS. We also have with us Dr. Brahm Verma. Dr. Verma is a professor emeritus of engineering at the University of Georgia. He has been a member of ASABE since 1961 and is a life member and fellow of the society. He has led in conceptualizing and building partnerships with multiple disciplines and stakeholders to adopt principles of circularity for innovating system-level sustainable solutions. He is one of the many who led in the formation of CBSI. So I'm thrilled to spend this hour learning more about the development and the latest activities of the Circular Bioeconomy Systems Institute. Please join me in welcoming Brahm and John.
Thank you, everyone. And it's a pleasure to be here today. And Brahm and I are going to talk about CBSI, our organizational structure, some of the functions that take place in CBSI, and what we've accomplished this year, what's ahead for CBSI, including AIM 24 and activities beyond that. And then we'll open it up for discussion, and we're really interested in your questions, and we hope we can give you answers to them before we provide some closing comments. So I'm going to start kicking this off, and you've heard CBSI is the Circular Biological Systems Engineering Institute, Bioeconomy Systems Institute. So an error there, we made it in our slide, sorry. And why are we focusing on circular bioeconomy systems? Part of it's related to we have a highly productive agricultural systems and food systems today, but there's opportunities for us to enhance sustainability and resource efficiency. We're thinking more today across all ecosystems about how can we take advantage of things we call waste and reuse it in innovative ways. Climate change is a part of it, and what can we do to help different stakeholders in reduce emissions and help contribute to climate change reduction or carbon footprint reduction. And we'd like to spur economic growth and working with new industries that can emerge in supporting a circular bioeconomy, and look at ways of improving food security and resilience of our planetary systems. A little bit of history about CBSI, and I was actually fortunate to be an industry member of a panel on the From Here to Sustainability in 2019 at the Boston meeting of AIM. And Joel Mackauer was our presenter at that meeting. And the excitement around this concept resulted in the launching of TFACS in 2019 by President Noakes. And it was about transforming food and agricultural systems to circular systems. That task force went on to be given a new task force, CBSI and a Strategy Council task force in 2021, with President Paul Heineman forming that one. And they did a lot of the groundwork around the Strat Council that was just voted on by membership, as well as some activities around building CBSI. And then in 2023, the Board of Trustees approved the creation of CBSI and as a part of ASABE. And after that, we had our inaugural CBS Day in Omaha and had more than 200 participants that were a part of that activity. And since that time, we've had interim officers that have helped start building CBSI as an organization inside of ASAB and having all the required functions, including networking with staff and working with the different councils that exist as we try to grow our new institute. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about a few of the highlights of what's happened over this last year. As I mentioned, we've been building the base of CBSI. The names of the people on the left represent our executive and 4 working groups that were connected to different activities and forming CBSI. These interim leads helped us in this transition from a task force and the ideas to an institute and a functioning institute. Our working groups have met several times a month over the last year, and bi-monthly we report out to leadership team meetings to talk about our progress. And we've had a lot of really impressive accomplishments. Our overall activities have included building these liaisons with ASAB staff and councils, developing bylaws, which Brahm will talk about in a few minutes, and executing on our ambitions that actually started in the task force, and we've been able to bring some of them to reality, although we still have many things we'd like to accomplish into the future. One of the ambitions was a series of workshops that we'd hoped to plan to build some transdisciplinary context around CBSI. And this started in the task force in 2023. And you can see on the right side a listing of the titles of different areas that were contributors to a circular bioeconomy. And we basically had ideas of having workshops that would bring multidisciplinary stakeholders together, come up with concepts, and we kind of lacked just one thing, and that was how do we fund these types of activities? And we were really fortunate to be the benefactor of a $500,000 grant from connected to USAID. And we've actually spent the spring executing most of these workshops with 1 or 2 more still to take place, and bringing in experts from these different areas and fields, some of them in ASABE and many outside of ASABE. And as these workshops wrap up, we're planning a capstone that will basically synthesize this information. And this will be a key part of our CBS Day this year at AIM. So if you'd like to see some of the outcomes of this, then it's a really great opportunity to participate in CBS Day just ahead of the Anaheim meeting. Another thing we accomplished is that we were able to create a special purpose fund for circular bioeconomy. CBSI has a lot of ambitions to do things that really require resources to make them happen. So we created a capital fund. And actually, it's pretty impressive. We got the final approval of this from the board, foundation board, just ahead of Giving Tuesday, and decided to give it a try. And we were fortunate to be able to generate $32,000 in donations from a combination of sources. And our goal is to try to drive this to $100,000 for use by the CBSI community to do projects and execute our many activities that we're interested in. Another element is that CBSI is intended to be a multidisciplinary and try to have a linkage to ASABE, but also organizations that are outside of ASABE. And so we are developing a new web page that's a landing page for CBSI that's connected to ASABE, but also allows us to engage people who are not members and being able to get information about CBSI that are beyond the membership guidelines. And this will actually, it's not ready today, but we hope it'll be able to be kicked off in the coming weeks. But you can see a few of the activities showing up here about our workshops and being able to be a part of our working group in CIGR, which I'll have a slide in a minute, and as well as our CBS Day coming up. So we hope you will be able to find this as a good resource for members and non-members interested in CBSI. And then a few other comments about other activities. We've been very active in communications. ASABE and CBSI team members have been part of presentations at the climate conference, COP28, as well as UNA9, which was in Nairobi. And so we've been playing a forefront as an organization that's active in circular bioeconomy. We also are working on developing education materials for use in the classroom. There's the biosystems engineering e-text that's has been available for a while, and there's a team working on developing an introductory chapter for CBSI, and this should lead to other chapters as we move ahead. And then, as I mentioned, with the external engagement, I'm the chair of the CIGR working group on circular bioeconomy, and this group has also been meeting monthly, and in fact, they will have a technical session there first as a working group at the Jeju meeting coming up in May. So lots of activities have been taking place. I'm going to now turn it over to Brahm to talk about our organizational structure in CBSI.
Thank you, John. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. So over this period of nearly 4 years, we have learned a few things that are very important. One of the things that we have learned is the importance of circularity as it exists in the nature and how we can learn from it to implement in creating sustainable systems. In that process, we have clarified in our mind or reinforced in our mind that natural ecosystems and human-made food and agriculture and socioeconomic systems are just not connected. They are interwoven and layered. They form a web. As a result of that, anything we do to any part of the web, we have a ripple effect in other parts. So because of this complex system of systems where resources are interact in time and space and continuously, we have to be very careful of the changes that we make in any one part of the system because it often has unintended effects on the other part of the system. And some of the effects of undesirable effect of the linear systems actually emerge from this particular aspect where progress made in one particular part of the system was not always in the context of the whole system. So this is a very important part as to what we have to do in the future. And to do that, a single discipline cannot achieve this. We have to build multidisciplinary and transdisciplinary level, system level solutions. So building partnership with sister societies and disciplines and engaging the stakeholders is a very important part in what we do or what we need to do so that the CBSI becomes a hub for sustainable system level innovations. So this is the background that drives us to conceptualize as to what kind of organizational structure and what kind of bylaws we must have. So the bylaws that are currently drafted, they are in the draft stage in the process of review and approval, defines the organizational structure and as well as the duties and responsibilities of the officers. And recruiting individuals with expertise in wide range of subject areas and perspectives from around the world is an important part of what we have to do in the structure and the duties and responsibilities. So the public-private sector and disciplines, stakeholders must participate in this process. The system must advance innovation at system level, it must contribute to growth in educational and professional development. And so the overall mission, that overall vision of the CBSI, which was created some time back, to create a healthy planet driven by vibrant, sustainable circular bioeconomy system producing plentiful food, feed, forest products, and renewable resources, we can achieve these objectives. So the bylaws that have been, let's see, boy, this thing moved very fast. Can I go back?
Just a second, Brahm. Let me help you get closer.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go. So this is a schematic I drew to show you the overall layout of the organizational hierarchy. So you're familiar with the ASABE Board of Trustees, and below that there are 4 councils. ASABE members, by close to 92% of their votes, approved forming a 5th council, a Strategic Initiative Council. So CBSI is a part of that Strategic Council. It has a leadership, which will be a group of 4 individuals, chair-elect, vice chair, and past chair. Below that is an executive committee, and I want to get to the one at the very bottom, the multidisciplinary standing working team. So this is the heart of this particular organization or institute. This is where a lot of the things that we need to do will be done. It has 4 working teams. One is related to innovating circular systems or sustainable systems. The second team will be focused on developing metrics, models, standards. The third team will be focused on organizing meetings, conferences, and having the word conveyed to various communities. And the fourth team will be related with publicizing and promoting CBSI. And the arrows that you see shows that the innovative system team will have representative and working with the membership council. The metrics and the standards team will work with the standards council. The organizing meeting team will work with the meeting council, and the publicize and promoting team will work with publication. Now, the goals there are that we promote innovation, we develop multidisciplinary culture, we communicate what we have learned, and we grow membership. To do the multidisciplinary working teams, we need partnership with other disciplines. So an affiliate membership has recently been approved for CBSI, and I'll speak to that a little bit in the next slide. But ASABE members and affiliate members will be a part of what is shown here. The next slide here is a little busy slide, but I did want to show you this. So what you just saw schematically is right here. The leadership team, officers of leadership teams are chair-elect, vice chair, and past chair. All these 4 officers have leadership roles. And you will, for example, the chair will be chairing the executive committee, the chair-elect will chair the coordinating committee, vice chair will be responsible to work with the foundation for development purposes, as well as keep records. And the past chair will serve beyond advising and giving the history of things, as well as to lead the nomination and elections. So the white part here shows the standing committee, and the pluses here basically show who all the members would be. Below the white part here, the officers for working team 1, which is related to innovation of systems. Again, you have 4 officers, same pattern as the leadership team. And the past chair will directly connect with the membership council. Similarly, the working team 2 will connect, past chair will connect with the technical and standards council. Working team 3, which is related with meetings, will be connecting with the meeting councils. And the 4th team related with public and promotion will work with the publication council. So that's the layout, and then the bylaws there on several pages try to capture all what I show you here in this schematic. Now let me just say a thing about affiliate member. First thing I want to say is that all ASABE members who wish to become member of CBSI are invited and encouraged to be a part of it. The affiliate membership is only for those who are not ASABE members. This was recently approved by the Board of Trustees. The goal here is that we engage these individuals and from stakeholders group and professional societies to join CBSI to form that multidisciplinary teams to work on what we have to get done. We believe that by doing so, ASABE's professional richness will be enhanced, our visibility will be enlarged, that our members will become much more aware of the activities of the other disciplines, and it will positively affect our overall mission. We have recommended, and that was approved, that the affiliate member be charged a fee of about 1/2 of the highest ASABE member fee rate, so that'll be $95 a year. And the benefits that are provided to affiliate members is that they will get discounted registration on ASABE CBS highly rated meetings. Publication charges will be the same as ASABE members, but the access to published material will be at non-member rate, and everything else will be at non-member rate. So this is what we have created with the goal that CBSI will have a vibrant and very active multidisciplinary group that will be working to develop circular bioeconomy systems and make a difference in terms of what we are doing to bring sustainability to our systems. John, I'll turn it over back to you now, I think. There you go.
There you go. Thanks, Brahm. And I just want to add a comment to your last statement about how we came up with these types of outcomes in the bylaws task force and other activities. You don't get by doing them in isolation. And we were really benefited by having representatives of ASABE, of the board, and different councils as part of contributing to these proposed draft of our bylaws, which we are going through a process of reviewing as a CBSI team, and hope to show up with AIM with bylaws that are approved to move forward in growing the organization. Which brings an element of this is that we've kind of been in a mode of doing all of this with volunteers and interim officers, and we need to enter our official capacity as being an institute with officers that are elected by members, and so Jim Jones is leading this effort and has a nominating committee that's coming up with a slate of officers. Since this is the first time, we have to fill all of our positions. So we have 16 open positions that have to be filled. Actually 20, 16 in the working teams and 4 executive. And we are planning to get those all prepared ahead of AIM And then as we're going to use our interim officers to start out participating in the existing councils, but that'll take over after AIM with our new members. And so in July, we will have our final interim officers in place. And this vice chair position is the type of position that is normally elected at the meeting. So we intend to use our first meeting at AIM to officially make the decision on those candidates. And I think the thing for all of you to consider is that even though you haven't been participating in this, you should certainly raise your hand if you have an interest in being part of the inaugural officer group of CBSI. And so Jim's email address is there if you'd like to reach out to him. I'm sure he would welcome volunteers that are actively interested in participating. Some other activities are taking place, and Alicia kicked this off talking about this being our first seminar of the season for the CBSI webinar series, but we have two more coming up. One on May 9th, Processing Our Way Towards Circular Bioeconomy by Dr. Shavari Raut. And then our second seminar is May 23rd, Valorizing Biomass Residues for Industrial Decarbonization by Anurag Mandalika. So looking forward to those, and I hope that you'll find these interesting to participate in in the next month. And then let's talk a little bit about AIM. We're going to have a CBS Day again on July 28th, so this will be on the Sunday. And as I mentioned previously, we are going to share the multidisciplinary lessons learned from the 8 stakeholder workshops that we will have completed by that time. And we also are bringing in experts to talk about multidisciplinary partnerships to advance system-level innovations for circular bioeconomy systems. And then other panels for research and development and funding opportunities in circular bioeconomy systems. I know here in the States and see this internationally, there's lots of funding opportunities and agencies that resonate around the same themes that have caused us to create CBSI. And it should be a great session. And then we're going to talk about taking the outcomes of our workshop and building towards a summit in 2025 and address the topics of the importance of building professional society alliances, needs, gaps, opportunities, and future actions. This is actually the same day as the welcome reception, and so there will be the AIM welcome reception following CBS Day, and then we have posters that are going to be part of a poster session following AIM. So if you have interest in learning from the many research contributions and activities that are taking place, we welcome you to participate. And at the bottom of this slide, you can see the link that takes you directly to the CBS Day registration. And if you go through the normal AIM registration process, you can see opportunities to jump to this page as well. Another thing that will take place is really not so completely embedded in CBSI, but one of the activities we initially built an alliance or alignment with ASABE was the meetings planning process. And that started very early in our fall last year. And as a result of that, we're able to offer some additional sessions that include CBSI as part of AIM. And one that we're hoping many external attendees will participate in is our initial keynote from AIM, which is not necessarily CBS related. I don't know that topic yet. But we will follow that with a panel on opportunities and challenge in circular bioeconomy systems. That takes us to the noon timeframe. And then from noon on through Wednesday, I've highlighted circular bioeconomy in the sessions that have emerged from our members. And you can see quite a few of them showing up. And so actually, circular bioeconomy is going to be very visible at AIM. And really hope that you find the information interesting and participate in it. So please register for AIM if you haven't done that. I did not mention this, but also on Monday of the 29th, there will be a social event with CBSI. And it would be a great opportunity to become a member and join CBSI groups if you're interested. And I'll give you another opportunity how to do that in a few seconds. Well, actually, after the discussion period, I'll give you that. So now we're in the discussion period. And Alicia, you want to give some ground rules for this?
Sure. So if you have questions, feel free to drop them in the chat or and we can read them out. Or if you are comfortable enough unmuting, we can call on you to ask your questions. While we're waiting to see if anyone has any questions, there was one that was posted in the chat that was answered, but I did want to bring your attention to it. The question was, will ASABE members need to pay for membership, or are they already a part of CBSI? And Sarah answered it saying that the ASABE members do not need to pay for affiliate membership in CBSI. They can simply reach out to staff and express interest, and they'll be happy to add you to the CBI.
Let me clarify that. ASABE members are not affiliate members. They are members of CBSI. Affiliate members are only those who are not member of ASABE. So any person who is a member of ASABE by request becomes member of CBSI. No, at this time, no fee or anything like that. Affiliate members are open only to non-ASABE members, and ASABE members do not need to worry about that part.
So when we let staff know, is that we get access to the CBSI Engage page then? Is that how that happens?
Yes. John, you want to respond to that?
Yeah, and I actually have a slide on this a little bit later, but to get to the Circular Bioeconomy Systems Institute Engage page, you have to log in as an ASAB member, and then you can find it if you search for communities. I assume that everyone can find it, but then you can just join that link. It should be available to everyone who's a member. How about other questions? Whoops.
While you're thinking about a question, let me just make a couple of comments about the workshops, because I've attended 5 of the 6 of them. Each workshop had between 25 to 30 individuals, and they were a very wide range of representation of disciplines and stakeholders. There was enormous energy in each of these workshops to be part of CBSI. People were actually asking how can they become part of it. They have, several of them have clearly indicated they want to come to CBS Day in July. I've had actually one associate dean tell me that he's going to support 9 faculty members from his university to come to CBS Day. So there's a lot of interest that's out there, not only among the ASABE members, but in multiple other disciplines that we have been engaged with. And over these 4 years, I don't know how many, 20 to 25 different organizations, professional organizations that we have communicated with. So because of the kind of energy that is there, I think the affiliate member, for those who are not members of ASABE, can be very, very instrumental in ASABE becoming a hub and a place to go to for learning about CBSI or learning about advancing circular bioeconomy systems. I just wanted to share that. That was very exciting to see that.
Great. Thanks for that addition. There was a comment in the chat box says, this is a general thought people will have. The business as usual method maximizes profit, but with CBS principles, the profit will take a hit. What are your thoughts on this?
I have a quote that I like, that if you do what you've always done, you're only going to get what you've always got. And I don't know that I don't understand quite the idea about CBS taking a hit on profit, but I think it creates opportunities. You know, CBSI is not an organization that is asking for handouts and able to do all the things that we'd like to do. just by being a burden on ASABE. The idea behind it is it's actually a growth vector. And as an example of that, being able to bring in with our members, connecting to external groups is an opportunity, I think, to expand our networks. And, hopefully there's all kinds of ideas around the pluses and minuses around this, but example of that would be, hopefully some of those people decide that they want to join ASAB as a member as well. There could be, everything has a double-edged sword, because there could be fears of losses of members in the other direction. I suppose that would be reasonable. The grant that we received to do these workshops is a first for ASABE. They've never really received a major grant, and I don't know if people have noticed in a lot of the calls, professional societies can compete and be basically be the PI of or responsible organizations. And I'm sure that there's been some pluses and minuses in executing this, but it feels to me like it's something we should consider as a society as an opportunity to grow and be more visible and engaged and attract funding that helps us achieve that growth. And then maybe my final point is that I've really very happy about the opportunity to create the fund, which is a capital fund. It's not intended to be like our other traditional funds that people give or donors give for specific awards or specific types of activities, but it is intended to be something that CBSI uses as a mechanism to execute the types of initiatives. And so the leadership team and the executive group will have to be responsible for using those funds wisely for the purpose of growing circular bioeconomy systems in the activities that we take place. So there's no guarantee that all of these things work out perfectly, and we do have our strategy council that's intended to be an oversight over growth mechanisms that ASABE implements. So I feel that we have the right checks and balances in the system to see how this will work, and we'll have to just go forward in the future and try to do the best we can to create the opposite effect of making CBSI one of the many dimensions ASAB may add to grow the professional organization.
Alicia?
Yes.
Can I take a crack at the question, and I'm not sure I fully understand it, but John, you and Brahm and others have reflected day and night a lot longer than I have probably, but I've been asked something like that, and say what are our dreams, what is our vision, just as far as the whole picture of circularity, and I said, to me, the more I've gone down this journey, just begin this journey and the deep thinking of it, you kind of have an infinite system of circles. There really isn't an easy starting or stopping point, and we were very intentional when we got to the Circular Bioeconomy Systems name. I think that the TFAX was a good starting point, but it's easy to just start talking circularity. Lots of examples about circularity that it's going to take quite a bit of change to probably have it be more economical than the traditional approach of just using things and landfilling it, or not recycling or not repurposing. But we're reflecting on the biological, the bio side, and that's even just a sliver of the whole universe of circularity. And from the engineer's perspective, it's especially helpful to have the economy in there, because most engineers were born problem solvers. And the economics and the dollar side, it's not necessarily the first, second, or third thing we think of. But the inherent part of the name for me is that whatever biocircular piece that you want to focus on, if everyone isn't receiving some level of economic benefit, then that's not going to truly withstand the test of time. But those things that do, there may need to be some engineering breakthroughs, there may need to be some economic incentives early on. But reflecting, on just pieces of the circularity gets pretty exciting.
So let me just say that the comments that are just made, there's an underlying assumption that if we go to circular system, it will be less economically profitable. I do not subscribe to this assumption. We have not perhaps paid as much thinking to creating systems that are both sustainable and economical. I think that is the real challenge. If we go with the assumption that they are or they're not and, then we don't have an argument to say that we want to create a sustainable system. And so we make the assumption that we will keep on using resources until we run out of them. So our fundamental objective is driven with the idea that if we have to have sustainable system, we have to have as much as possible recycle or repurpose resources so that they can last longer. But that doesn't mean that we have to do it at the cost of being, economic loss. We just have to be innovative. And that's our challenge. We don't have, I don't think I have any particular magic bullet to say this is how to do it. But in nature teaches us that sustainability is through the cycles of life. And we have to just give a little more thought to it. And we got brilliant young people who can think about this. But we cannot think by only ourselves. It's not only engineers' problem. We have to bring perspectives of the users, where the economics will come in, and practicality will come in, and also other disciplines that will contribute to that thought process. So that's how I think about it. As agricultural engineer, I think myself to be a systems person. I take whatever anybody has. If I can make a system that works, that's good enough. And so that's how I think about it. So I basically challenge the fundamental assumption and ask us to reflect on it, if that is indeed the only way to go forward.
All right, well, thank you for that. And we got to thanks for the responses, great different viewpoints. Another question popped up. Do you see controlled environment agriculture as an important part of CBSI?
Well, let me just say, we just had a controlled environment agriculture systems workshop in Biosphere 2. It was phenomenal. Casey is online. Casey, you want to speak a bit about that? Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
There's a question for you.
Is that for me?
Well,
It's for many people. Yes, as Brahm said, we had a very exciting, successful workshop on circular control environment agriculture systems at Biosphere 2. So I think CEA systems will play a very progressive part in circular bioeconomy, because the system is technologically ready to implement many principles. I just briefly mentioned 6 principles we worked on during this workshop. It relates back to the question of whether it's sustainable or competitiveness. Our business needs to be competitive, also have to be sustainable. So the 6 principles, the first one is refine. Okay, do better with what we have been doing. The second one is redesign. At the design stage, we start to design systems that will minimize waste and pollution. The third one is once we start operating the system, we reuse as much as possible. And then if by the law of physics and many other laws, we cannot not have any discarded materials. Even if we do that, we regenerate. We make it no harm to the society and the environment. And the next one is very important, it's reprofit. Like Brahm just said, there are many ways to sustainably intensify systems. Intensification is to bring more profit, and then sustainability, doing it in a very sustainable way. And the last one is resystems. The word system of systems have been mentioned. So we need to look at the whole CEA value chain as a systems of systems, which is very different from traditional system. A traditional system that the owner, there's a sole ownership, but system of systems have multiple ownerships with multiple agents coming into play. We have a huge opportunity there at the interfaces of systems.
Yeah.
So I said too much, but yes, CEA system will be a very exciting, progressive actor in the promoting the increase of circularity.
And just to add to Casey's point is that, he didn't want to take too much credit that CEAS is everything, but I mean, everything is part of the solution. We have all of our systems that exist today, and it isn't a competition between them. It's applying those 6 principles across every one of the current systems and see if we create a different outcome.
And actually, economic profitability is one of the principles of circularity.
All right, well, great. Thanks for that. I'm not seeing any other questions at the moment. John, I know you had a few more items to address. If you want to finish those out, and then we can take any additional comments or questions at the end.
Sure, that's great. Thanks. We just have a couple more slides, and in our summary, and it starts with Brahm.
So I think this slide essentially addresses the question that was asked earlier. In the way I think about it, to transition from linear to circular will require transition of our mindset and the habits inculcated from our education and lived experiences, because those are the foundation of our innovative thoughts. And that what it means is, on the right side of the slide, you see in a linear thinking, we think of a system. In a circular, we have to think of systems of systems. In a linear, we think about things are connected. In circular, you have to think about things are interwoven. In the linear, we think they are complicated. In the circular, think you're complex, and they are different. Complex have interrelationship, inter-effects, like a web. In linear, we think of disciplinary solutions. Circular, we have to think about transdisciplinary solutions. Linear, we think in terms of isolated, and circular, we have to think integrated. We have to go from reductive to holistic thinking. The question that was earlier asked, ecology or commerce? We have to go from or to ecology and commerce. We have to learn what we take, we need to reciprocate, recycle. Waste is not a waste, it's a byproduct. It is a useful product with resources for something else. So ultimately, we have to overcome the tyranny of the or and think about creativity of the and. And that would imply to go from thinking of end to go towards endless. That's the way I think about things. And that's what I have been promoting in my discussion in CBSI. The next slide is a statement that I probably wrote 40 plus years ago in my office. I believe that the great creator has put oats and oil on this earth to give us a breathing spell. As we exhaust them, we must be prepared to fall back on our farms, which are God's true storehouse. We can learn to synthesize materials for every human need from things that grow. George Washington Carver said this around 1930, about 100 years ago. I truly believe this. We just have to figure out how to learn to do it. Thank you.
Thanks, Brahm. And then I'll just make a couple of final comments on if you're interested on how to connect to CBSI. One way is I've given my email, so please reach out, and we're looking for members to join our working teams or participate in some of our activities. I mentioned earlier that Jim Jones is looking for officers for the new institute. You can also, we talked about this one, you can go to ASABE Engage, and there's a community called Circular Bioeconomy Systems Institute. And it's open to any ASABE member to join. If you just go and log in, you can click on it, search through the communities and join. And most importantly, on this one and the next one, start posting some activities there. We really would like to see your responses and thoughts about what you saw today, and actually new contributions to circular bioeconomy systems. And then we also have a LinkedIn page called it's a group called the Circular Bioeconomy Systems Institute, and that's free for all to access and share posts on. There've been some of our workshops and activities that have been highlighted recently, and we'll probably have a post to this webinar in case others missed it. And that's it. And Alicia, I'll turn it back over to you.
All right, great. Thank you. Thank you to both of our speakers and for all those who commented and joined in the discussion. Do we have any final questions, thoughts, comments? Any burning questions? Got to give it the Zoom pause here right at the end. I see some applause.
Alicia, thank you.
Let me just say one thing as we
Sure.
part. If there is any individual in this audience who is not a member of ASABE, first I would request you to consider becoming a member of ASABE. But if you find that to be not of your cup of tea, but you want to be a part of CBSI, consider becoming an affiliate member.
Thanks, Brahm, and I just want to thank Alicia for giving us this opportunity, and for your great moderation of the two of us, which can really get out of the box when Brahm and I are together. So,
well, I dropped a link to the LinkedIn CBSI group into the chat if you're interested in joining. And as John mentioned, that is open to anyone who would like to be a member of that. And we got to thank you for the interesting and inspiring evening from Europe. So we've got people from all over joining today. With that, I would like to thank everyone for your participation today. And I want to give a special thanks again to our speakers, Brahm, Verma, and John Reid. Also to my co-moderator and ASABE Director of Membership, Sarah Rodriguez, and to everyone else who contributed to making the Member Hour possible. Our next webinar in the CBSI series, as John mentioned earlier, is scheduled for Thursday, May 9th at 1 p.m. Eastern. We will have Dr. Shwari Rao from Niche Grinding and Dispersing, discussing opportunities and challenges associated with process optimization within the food industry as we move towards circularity in food production. And remember, all these sessions in the series will be available on YouTube via the ASABE and the CBSI websites. If you're eager on connecting with others and advancing the circular bioeconomy systems movement, mark your calendars for the 2024 CBS Day event in Anaheim, California on July 28th. You can head over to ASABE's meeting registration page at www.asabemeetings.org for more details. And once again, I want to thank you for your time and engagement today, and we're excited about hosting you again at future ASABE events. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alicia. Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brahm.
Thank you.